It's high time we started with some positive personnel news, isn't it? After you had an under-23s game in the week and you got Kody Adedoyin back on the pitch and back in the goals. Toure Cisse on target as well. How much of a boost is it to have Adedoyin back around the place? There's been so much talk, obviously, about forward players and the number of injuries you've had and both ends of the pitch having those problems. How good was it to A, have him training and B, have him back in a game environment?
Yeah, very pleasing. And pleased for Toure as well, getting his goal. 2 really good goals. And hopefully they can build on that confidence. Toure's got to start threatening for the first team place. Otherwise, the decision to sign him, he doesn't mean to get injured. But it was a massive setback on being out for so long. And he has to get back to the form that he showed in pre-season, and hopefully that'll give him the confidence to do that.
How beneficial is having this setup with the under-23s games and playing regularly and being able to get out there and get game time? And how different is it to first-team football?
Well, it is different from first-team football, that's for sure. But it's a balancing act, and we're still trying to tweak it to get it into the right format. We've possibly signed too many players this season for the 23s, and if you look at our squad on the programme, that tells you that there's too many players around the place. A lot of that was forced through injuries in the summer, but a lot of it was me just not making the right signings, and I've got to hold my hands up to that. And that's no disrespect to the players, but there's just too many of them. And sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees, so I have to take full responsibility for that, and I have to sort that situation out to make sure it doesn't happen again. And if we have a beneficial 23s, you see the benefits of that. You see the benefits of playing trial players. You see the benefits of trying to get players coming back. But if it starts to become a burden on your budget and drains away the impetus that you can put into the first team, then it becomes counterproductive. So you've got to get it so the balance is just right. And we're still trying to tweak that at the moment.
Have you learned something from that this season then?
Oh yeah, 100%. And from last season as well. And sometimes you learn the most from your mistakes rather than what you do right. Well, most of the time you do, to be honest. And you'll be able to recognise your mistakes. And, we've got some good players in there, really good players, who I hope will go on to have good careers. And, the idea is for them to have the careers with us and, not just to breed them for somebody else.
Just on Kody Adedoyin, did you feel like he was showing what he's capable of before he got the injury that kind of ruled him out? He certainly had a couple of goals, which was an improvement on last season. Yeah,
he's a good player, Kody. When we see him every day in training, when he trains, when he's fit, he can go anywhere he wants. I've seen the success Malach Wilkes had, who we come up against on Saturday, and he's got to go with that type of direction. He's got to go and have a successful career, and to have that, you've got to have a good season. And this is his chance now. He's been out a little bit with injury. He's got to try and stay injury free, and he's got to start scoring goals. Possibly on Tuesday, he's trying to impress, so he's having too many touches because he could. Because they're a young side who's playing against Blackpool. He won't be able to have that many touches playing in the first team. And I think he realises that. But when he gets a shot off, he's got a cannonball of a shot, and it's very, very difficult to stop them. I mean, the goal he scored the other day, you could have had 3 goalkeepers in, you're not saving that. Well, it's hit with such force and such accuracy, you can't save them. And that's, a little bit of what we've been missing this season. We speak about the game on Saturday, winning the game 4-1, and we were delighted for that. And, people say, how well you've done, and probably done no different in about another 10 games this season that we haven't won. The difference is we've put the first 3 chances that we got in, and that doesn't have to take the pressure off you when you do that.
At the other end of the pitch, what's the situation defensively? Because I know you were forced into a couple of changes in that area in the FA Cup.
Well, Ryan's still out injured. I we're hoping it's not going to be too long. Obviously, we welcome Doug back as well, so we should be in a healthier position than what we were on Friday.
I smiled at all the coverage of Sean Worley getting the hat-trick in the FA Cup. At 35 to score a hat-trick for the first time in your senior career is quite a milestone. How important is his versatility proving to be for you? Because we've seen him play out wide, we've seen him play up there, we've seen him play off a forward player, we've seen him play in midfield. Is that something that as you get older you're more able to do more roles, if you see what I mean, because you've got more experience?
I think the experience of it helps. I think the older you get, the more tolerant you get. You know, you get players who turn their nose up at playing out of position, and as you get older, you're just grateful to play every game you play. Or no, I was anyway. And whatever position you ask Sean to play, I know he'll do it to the very best of his ability. The one thing about Sean is he tends to score in clusters throughout his career, and getting off the mark the other week against Bolton, you know, he's quickly followed that up, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on a run now where he scores quite a few.
As far as a return to league action is concerned, you obviously had the FA Cup win, which will be great for confidence. That draw at Lincoln and the performance and the work rate, is that setting the standard? Is that the sort of minimum expectation now? Well,
we've spoke to the players about that, and they've got to keep in mind themselves. You can easily become blasé and comfortable with it. And I'm not saying we have to keep beating them with a stick, but we have to be mindful of the fact that we've got standards to meet, and the running standards should be non-negotiable. And in the main, they have been quite good this season anyway. You know, I know there was a drop-off, particularly in the second half against Fleetwood. But in the main, our standards have been good, and hopefully we'll keep that up. You know, it's a balance between training hard, avoiding injuries, and still being able to be fit enough to compete for 97, 98 minutes, whatever you have to do. So, you know, we've been doing it long enough to know that we've generally got the balance right over the years. Unprecedented amount of injuries this season, which, you know, you can't legislate for and you can't plan for. But what you have to do is you have to keep believing that your training methods, if you've got to alter them, you have to alter them. But you've got to train with a purpose. If you're training the way you play, and you've got to train to win a game on Saturday, you know, not just training to just be there and turn up. You know, we're training, and we'll spend a bit, you know, the last couple of days, or today and tomorrow, coaching them to try and come up with a format to win a game which would be very tough against a very good Sheffield Wednesday side.
Yeah, the aim is to train to beat Sheffield Wednesday this week. They made quite a lot of changes in the FA Cup and beat Morecambe, and their substitutes bench demonstrated the strength of their squad. How impressive is that group of players that Darren Moore's been able to put together?
Well, first I must say I've got a lot of respect and I've got a lot of time for Darren. One of football's true gentlemen. Good knowledge of the game, great knowledge of the game, to be honest. Got a great manner about him. And he's assembled a very, very healthy squad there. I love watching them play. I've watched them 3 or 4 times this season. They're a very good side. He'll be disappointed that they're not higher up the table. And that, for whatever reason, you know, you can count luck or injuries or whatever. But he'll be disappointed because I know that, you know, I know he's got high standards, and I know that they've got the capability to go on a good run at this league. But we've got to believe the big games here, our crowd definitely turn up. And we've got to make sure that we're as enthusiastic as our crowd will be on Saturday.
Is it human nature that sort of energises you? You know, I know you always say you can't be more up for any game, but from a player's perspective, when there is that atmosphere and a buzz around the place and the place looks full, does that make a difference?
I suppose it does. I mean, you can only equate it to yourself. So I look back at me and Jimmy, or Jimmy and I, speaking in proper English terms. I look back at our careers, and we wouldn't have played in front of 5,000 crowds more than about 4 or 5 times in our career. We got motivated when we were playing on a Sunday morning when there was 2 and a dog there, and we celebrated like we'd scored in the World Cup final in a routine Sunday League game to make it 6-0. So we had the buzz of wanting to succeed as footballers, wanting to be better every time we kicked the ball, want to score every time we played. And I think that's the main thing that players have to have in them. They have to have this unwavering desire to be successful, to win. And, you know, there's a way, people talk about winning at all costs, and I'm not too sure that's apt. But do everything within your power to, and never come off a pitch feeling that I didn't do my best there, or I didn't work as hard as what I could. And if you give everything you've got, no matter what the result is, A, I'll be happy, and B, the fans will be happy if they see the players giving their all. And that's, You know, once they set the standards of the Lincoln game, if they deliver that every week, they deliver that running and the energy and the effort, how as a fan can you not clap them off? Because you know that they're working the socks off. No one's got a divine right to be brilliant every week. People will make mistakes. But the one thing that irks me as a fan, irks me as a manager, and I don't see it that often, is a lack of effort. And hopefully, you know, we'll turn up on Saturday and run even more than what we did against Lincoln.